Hey there, Luma. It's Denise from LoomaHat.com, and I am so happy to bring this project to you. It's the Tic Tac tote bag, and I've enjoyed this project so much. I had the kids in mind at the beginning, but it's awesome for everyone, especially for me because I keep winning and I so love it. Alright, so let me tell you what you're going to need. You need a round 31 peg loom, 37 yards of worsted weight yarn, a loom and crochet hook, a needle, and a pair of scissors. Without further ado, let's E-wrap cast on 31 peg. We're going to use a single strand of worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to secure it to the anchor peg using a simple knot. You could use a slip knot if you'd like. And then we're going to wrap all 31 pegs. I'm going in one direction. You can go in the opposite direction. It really doesn't have an effect on this project. So if you prefer to go to the left or right, it doesn't matter. Make sure that you wrap all of your pegs. Here's my first round, and then you're gonna wrap each peg 2 times. That is the E-wrap cast on. Once you've wrapped all of your pegs 2 times, get your hook, and we're going to knit off, take the bottom loop over the top, and the last one that you wrapped is the first one that you knit off. That's going to secure your yarn, so always try to do that first. And now we're going to knit off all of those bottom loops over the top. Once you're done with that last peg, you're done with your cast on, and you're ready for rows 1 through 8, where you're just going to knit all 31 pegs. We're going to be using the U-wrap version of the knit stitch, so half wrap the peg, then with the hook take the bottom loop over the top and knit off. Again, you're going to half wrap the peg, take the bottom loop over the top and knit off. This is the U-wrap. You could use the flat or the true. If you use the E-wrap, it's going to be a totally different project. So keep that in mind. E-wraps are a bigger loop, and the numbers are just not going to work for you, okay? Then, after you're done with that first row, take the knot off the anchor peg. You want to make sure you don't leave that on. And remember that either direction that you're knitting on is okay, so don't overthink it. If you and I are going in a different direction, it doesn't matter. Once you're done with your 8 rows, find the drawstring. See it right here. That's going to tell you where your first loop is. And we're going to mount all of those first row loops back onto the pegs. So as you can see right here, they're kind of loose. Don't worry about that. It's okay. You actually kind of need them to be loose in order to be able to put all 31 of them back on the loom. And then you'll have a loop on the top and one on the bottom. And what we're going to do is, once you're done putting all of those loops back on the loom, it has like this little fold. You're going to knit off. Now, heads up, I made a boo-boo and I lost an entire clip from this video. Don't panic. You can still see what I've done. All of the loops were on, and all I did was take the bottom loops over the top and knit off, which is something that you've been doing all along. So don't panic. You're just going to put those 31 loops back on the pegs and knit them off like this. See, no big deal. Then you're ready for rows 9 through 42, where you're going to knit 31 pegs. Again, all you're going to do is what you've been doing, where you wrap, knit the 31 pegs, and as you continue to knit those rows, which are actually rows 9 through 42 or 34 rows, you can see right here where I remounted the loops and knitted off, and then I continued knitting. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so just half wrap, knit off, and keep going until you have a total of 42 rows. And then you're ready for cast off. And we're going to use the drawstring version of the cast off. So you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to wrap it around your loom and go past it about 4 or 5 pegs. Get your scissors, cut the working yarn, and then with your hook, from the bottom, from the top, you're going to scoop up and pull the string through. You could do this with a needle. I just prefer to do it with the hook most of the time. Just from the top, scoop it up and pull it through completely until you get back to that last peg, which is 31. And once you've done that, hold on to it and start taking the loops off pegs 1, 2, 3. Keep going. You're going to take the loops off all of the pegs, all 31 of them. And once you've done that, you are done with your knitting loom. Put it aside and start pulling those stitches. You want to pull on them because you want to stretch them and you want them to look correct. If you don't stretch your stitches, it's going to look real funky. And start pulling on the drawstring. You're not wanting to close this, you're just wanting to kind of draw it a little closer. We're gonna sew it, but for now, like I said, make sure that you stretch all of your stitches, that they look right, they look good. And then we're going to use that working yarn at the bottom to close up the bottom. So thread a needle, and then you're gonna put the needle through those loops at least one time. This is gonna help secure everything. So I'm sorry that I'm a little off camera every now and then. My setup was really messed up this time, and so I did a few boo-boos, but you got the idea. You're gonna feed the needle through all of those bottom loops, and then you're going to go from side to side because you want to close this. So as you can see, I'm doing, I believe this is called a oh wow, I think it's like a flip seam or something like that. You're going from side to side, and then it's a loop. I can't remember the name of it, but you can see how it's being done, right? I go from one side to the other side, and I make a loop, and I sew it in order to close that opening. After I close up the bottom, and by the way, I'm going to leave the working yarn until later, I mock up the drawing that I'm going to place on the bag with some paper and some safety pins. As you can see here, the heads of the safety pins are going to tell me exactly where I'm going to start and end. And those are the ones going horizontally. The ones that are vertical, I have the safety pins flat to tell me where to start and stop. And I'm just going to stop on the edges of the bag. You can do it however it's going to work for you. I try to make sure that they were even. Okay, so I'm starting from the bottom up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with a crochet hook going from the bottom up on both those rows going upward, and then I'm going to go across right here. So I took off the paper. You can leave it on if it helps you. And now I'm going to do a slip a slip yarn loop, and I'm going to put my I'm going to put the little knot on the inside. I'm going to take the hook and grab the little loop and bring it to the front. And as you can see, sometimes things don't go so great for me either, and I like for you guys to see where sometimes I have some issues getting something done in case it happens to you. You don't find it odd, right? My safety pin open. I couldn't get the little loop through the front, but here we go. No biggie. That's done. And now that my loop is on the front, I'm going to go to the next stitch up, tighten that loop, and then go to the next stitch right above the one that you came out of. And you're going to go inside and you're going to grab your yarn. You see right here how I grab it with that hook, and I'm going to bring it out, and it's going to come through that loop. So I go back in, I grab my working yarn with my crochet hook, and once I grab it, I'm going to bring it out, and it comes in between, in the middle of that loop. You see that? And it creates like this chain link. And that chain link is the line that you're going to be creating in order to, they call this a type of drawing on yarn. It has a cleaner look. I think it looks best. There's going to be more than one way to do it, and if you find a better way for you, then use that. For me, this seemed like the easiest, cleanest, and best looking way. All right. Again, all I'm doing is I'm staying within that row of knits. So I go into the next stitch, go inside, grab the loop, bring it out, and just continue your row. By the way, if you guys want this pattern, remember that you can find all of the patterns in my collection at LoomaHat.store. And if you sign up for the newsletter, just about every single time the newsletter goes out, there's a coupon that you can use to buy the new pattern and some of the patterns within the collection of that pattern. So do me and yourself a big favor and sign up for that newsletter. You'll get sometimes a couple of free goodies here and there, and it keeps you up to date in case sometimes YouTube might not let you know that I have a new video. The newsletter will let you know. All right, this is the last loop. What you're going to do is pull that loop out. Go ahead and cut your working yarn, and then you're just going to completely pull it out. And that's I'm going to show you how you're going to weave that in later. But for now, take the safety pin off. You're done. And you're going to take that working yarn and just pull the loop completely out. All right, you're done with that row, and you're ready to work on the next one. I'm taking both the top and the bottom safety pins. I have some loose yarn, and I'm going to work my other side. Okay, and then we're going to work across. See? Easy. Next, you're going to go to the other side. Go ahead and make a slip knot. That's what I forgot that it's called. It's called a slip knot. And you're going to put it on the inside of your bag just like you did before. Take your hook, push it inside, and grab that slip knot. Then tighten it up so it's close to your project. And then you're going to start doing the same thing you were doing before. And hey, I want to say thank you if you've made it this far into the video, because when you watch the video completely, it helps me a whole lot. You know what else helps me? When you share the video, because the more people that watch it, the more my videos get recommended, and I really appreciate that. And don't forget, while you're at it, to like the video. It's another thing that helps channels. If you like a channel, like the video, because that helps the influencer. And don't forget to subscribe, because that way you don't miss anything when you hit that little button, the little bell, to remind you of every time a video goes up. And like I said, the newsletter does that really well also. All right, so let me show you. When you're on the side and you get to the where you're crossing over, right, just go ahead and push into the one that's already there. And you see how I do this? All right, I'm going to show you anyway one more time. When you're doing this across, right, just like you were doing in the other one, you're following the stitches, right? Those little V's, they are stitches, and they are in a row, and you can follow the row whether you're going vertically or horizontally. There are rows of stitches, and so that allows you to stay in a straight row. And when you get to one spot where you're overlapping, all you're going to do is go right into the stitch that is already there, right? The other white one. You see how I'm going right in there and I'm pulling out my loop. And sometimes, like I said, things don't go well for me, and I'm not going to take it off the video. I want you to see that stuff happens to me too, not just you. All right, and then you just keep going across, and you're going to do the same thing, right? Once you finish your rows, all 4 of them, then it's time to weave in the ends. And all you're going to do is take that crochet hook, push it in through the closest loop, and pull that working yarn in. And then you're going to create another little loop, and you see here how I create a loop, and then I make a knot. Now that's how I'm doing it. You can weave it in any way you want. Once I make my knot, I go ahead and I cut, and I'm going to do that with all of them. You see I still have I think it's 4 of them left, including when I close the bottom of the bag. And here I'm going to show you one more time. I just go into the closest loop that close to that line, and I bring it in, and then I'm going to go inside and make that little knot. And like I said, I have a few more to go. Now I happen to have this little rope from another project that I got, and you don't have to use this one. You can knit a I-cord, and I'll give you a link to a video on how to do that. I tried to put it in with my crochet hook. It didn't go well. The crochet hook actually is too thin for this rope, and I didn't need to. I can just push it in because it's like a shoelace, like a really short shoelace. And so I got the idea that you could also do this with like a little baby shoe laces that you could probably get in the store, or if your kids, their shoes don't fit them anymore and they were like little babies, you can probably take those little shoelaces. But again, you could do an I-cord. You can braid 3 strands of yarn and create one of these. I mean, you can use anything, even any type of rope that you have that's short enough. You could just feed it through, and it's gonna work fine. It just needs a drawstring, and it's more decorative than anything. Plus, you wanna be able to close this so you don't lose your other little parts to the game. By the way, I used 15mm buttons for my toy, my game, but you don't have to use 15mm. You can use smaller, you can use bigger ones, you can use different ones. I'm using flat ones because I find that works the best. And I have 2 colors here, but inside there's I keep more, so I keep up to 4 different colors, so folks can choose different colors. But by the way, you can actually make some. I made some little beads, and I made them in different colors as well, and those are super cute. I have a video for that, and I am going to put a link in the description. I've used these beads for many things, including for hats and other accessories. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll watch many more, and that you'll leave me your comments and ideas and questions below. So until then, bye.